produces microprocessors will thus control the global industry.
The world's geopolitics has been defined by where the oil reserves are for the last 5 decades. And I think where the chips come from is more important for the next 5 decades.
And President Biden just signed a bill into law today boosting domestic semiconductor production and research in the United States. Top tech executives attended that signing in an apparent push to make the United States more competitive with China.
Oil was black gold, but chips are digital diamonds.
In the past, the global dominance of a country was determined by the number of oil rigs and gold reserves. But in the upcoming decades, it will be decided by the supremacy in the world's most critical technology right now, the semiconductor chips. Back in 1940s, the United States of America launched its secret Manhattan Project and became the world's first nuclear-powered country.
Finally, after 3 years' work and an expenditure of $2 billion, the atomic experts were ready to test their first bomb.
Light that man had only seen from the stars.
The flash was later calculated to be brighter than 1,000 suns.
Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
And crowned itself as the world's superpower.
I have received this afternoon a message from the Japanese government. I deem this reply a full acceptance of the Potsdam Declaration, which specifies the unconditional surrender of Japan.
And right now, after 80 years, there's another Manhattan Project underway.
If they got a meaningful lead on, it will be a different world in the future. This is Manhattan Project 2.
But this time, their rival is China. And the race is about the semiconductor chips. When we think about technology, we think about AI, we think about search engines, we think about apps in our phones, but there's one thing undergirding all of this, and that is microchips. A chip is basically a small piece of silicon, often the size of your fingernail, and inside those chips, there are carved thousands or millions, or in some cases even billions of transistors. Transistor is a tiny device that flips the circuit on and off. When they are on, it produces 1, and when they are off, it produces 0. Every Instagram like, every text message, every Google search, every bank transactions are just long strings of those zeros and ones. It all started in 1947. 3 scientists at the Bell Labs invented the first transistor. Before 1947, the vacuum tubes were used instead of transistors.
In the early days of computing, thousands of vacuum tubes were required to generate computational power, which relies on millions of binary functions, making large numbers of vacuum tubes critical for large-scale computation.
But there were some problems with the vacuum tubes also. Because they were essentially light bulbs, they produced massive amount of heat, required intense cooling, and needed constant maintenance just to keep them running. And because they produced light, they also attracted moths. Time after time, the operators have to take the dead bugs out of the computer. In other words, you can say the operators have to debug the computer just to keep the computers running properly. And this is exactly where the famous term debugging comes from. At that time, individual transistors were connected via wires. But there was a problem. Like, it's okay if you want to connect a few transistors, but if you want to connect thousands of them or millions of them, then it will create an impossible jungle of wires. By 1959, the engineers figured out how to take multiple transistors and print them on a single chip. And that chip is called as an integrated circuit. Instead of the jungle of wires, everything became one single tiny chip. At first, they were used by the US government for their defense and space missions. Then in 1971, Intel introduced the world's first microprocessor, the Intel 4004.
The Intel 4004 is a 4-bit central processing unit considered to be the first commercially available microprocessor. It had as much processing power as the room-filling ENIAC.
A microprocessor is a single semiconductor chip that integrates the main 5 functional units of a computer: arithmetic, control, storage, input, and output. So by the end of 1971, the entire central processing unit was just set up on one tiny chip around the size of your fingernail. I want you to realize that what exactly changed in these 30 years, like how revolutionary these 30 years were back then. The computers in 1940s required massive rooms, expensive maintenance, and huge amount of power, and they were very inefficient. And in 1970s, all of that was just shrunk down onto a single chip, just the size of your fingernail. That Intel 4004 held 23 transistors in it. And there's a theory called the Moore's Law, an observation by the Intel co-founder Gordon Moore. According to that observation, that the number of transistors on a chip doubles every 2 years with a minimal increase in cost. And that prediction had held up beautifully. Today the modern chips don't have the 1,000 transistors. They contain tens of billions of them. The smaller the transistor is, the more we can pack into a chip, making it more advanced. Right now, the transistors have been shrunk down to around 9 to 10 nanometers. For a decent comparison, the diameter of a single coronavirus is around 100 nanometers. And because of this, the chips sitting in our phones and laptops right now are just way more advanced than the computers used by NASA for their space missions back then. Hey, so that's enough of history right now. Like, this video was supposed to be explaining the geopolitical conflict that is happening in the world right now due to these chips. But yeah, this will act as a foundation for our further video. So now let's dive in one of the most important part of the video. Like, to understand this chip industry, we firstly need to understand how actually these chips are made. It all starts with ordinary quartz sand, which is purified to 99.99% silicon purity. That sand is compressed and melted to create a solid cylinder called silicon ingot. These ingots are then sliced into incredibly thin discs known as wafer. And onto those wafers, electrical circuits are printed using extreme ultraviolet light, a process called photolithography. Inside, highly specialized multi-billion-dollar facilities called fabs. And finally, the individual chips are cut from the wafer. But here's the catch. There is not any single country right now in the world that can make chips entirely on their own. So the question is, if there is no one capable enough to manufacture the chips, then who is producing the chips then? And where exactly are these chips coming from? This is the obvious question that you can ask, by the way. The answer is, no one is making the chips right now entirely on their own. But different countries had different roles right now in this chip market. To understand the different roles of the different countries right now, we need to understand the global supply chain of the semiconductor chips. The semiconductor industry operates like massive international relay race. One thing that we can say for sure, that the semiconductor chips industry is completely globalized right now. Like there's not any single country who just makes the whole chip independently. Every country has some specialization in this chip manufacturing process. For example, the America has the designs of, Netherlands has the capability to manufacture the machine that manufactures these chips. Taiwan has its expertise in fabrication process, etc. etc. Everything looks good, right? And then in 2020, coronavirus hits the world.
It's hard to imagine this is how 2020 started. But across the world, dozens were falling ill with a mysterious virus that would ultimately change life as we know it.
That a new coronavirus that had infected tens of thousands in China became a global pandemic.
People are believed to have been sickened by the new virus.
Tonight, U.S. airports on high alert, screening passengers for symptoms of a deadly new virus.
Let's take a look at the number of cases. India has crossed 12,000 COVID-19 cases, 941 new cases reported in the last 24 hours.
I have today declared that the coronavirus presents a public health emergency in the United States.
And due to lockdown, hundreds of millions of people suddenly needed to work from home.
Breaking news coming in, Gurugram administration has issued an advisory and has appealed to all MNCs, BPOs and other corporate firms owners to ensure work from home due to the coronavirus.
Bengaluru, the silicon capital, is seeing a steady upward trend in COVID cases, and nearly 70% of the workforce in the IT industry have opted to work from home.
Demands for laptops, webcams, servers absolutely exploded. And since the import and export was disrupted due to the pandemic, there was chip shortage everywhere.
A shortage in supply and increase in demand. Laptops and computers are flying off the shelves as more families work from home and their kids learn virtually.
There was chip shortage all over the world. The delicate supply chain broke. Fully assembled cars were left stranded in the factory parking lots, unable to be sold simply because they were missing a tiny silicon chip.
In the car parks of American automakers, tens of thousands of vehicles are waiting for their microprocessors. In 2021, many of these vehicles were not even produced yet, costing the global automotive industry around 200 billion euros. In 2022, the crisis had still not been resolved. Near Le Havre, the Renault factory in Sandouville has become silent once more.
Notre site est arrêté pendant 10 jours. Tout simplement pour cette fameuse crise des microprocesseurs. Régulièrement, malheureusement, la direction est amenée à fermer le site pour manque d'approvisionnement de ces microprocesseurs et on se retrouve dans le tiers d'aujourd'hui avec une usine, dans notre jargon, on appelle ça une usine meurtre, c'est-à-dire personne à l'intérieur.
This crisis was a major wake-up call for the American government. They realized something terrifying. America, the country that invented the transistor, was now relied on the other countries, specifically Taiwan, for about 90% of their advanced microchips. The policymakers in Washington realized that if a virus can just disturb the whole US economy just by disturbing the supply chain of the microchips, then an invasion on Taiwan would be catastrophic. Which brings us back to our new Manhattan Project, the Manhattan Project 2. China, realizing its own vulnerability on American software's Dutch equipments, they start pouring hundreds of billions of dollars actually into building a complete domestic and independent microchip supply chain. Their goal? Technical supremacy, especially in artificial intelligence and defense systems. To stop them, the US government dropped the hammer, launching a two-side war, the CHIPS Act. In August 2022, the US government passed a massive subsidy of around $52 billion to bring the manufacturing back to the American soil, the export ban. In October 2022, the US implements export controls, making it illegal to any company using the American technology to sell to China. The global blockade. The US pressurized the Netherlands and Japan to join the blockade, cutting the China off from the ASML's extreme ultraviolet EUV lithography machines required to make advanced chips. The perfectly globalized supply chain is now being dismantled and everything is right now going towards the chip war.